Look at this structure. It isn't a building. It wasn't built. It was carved. Every pillar, every statue, every room you see was once part of a single, solid mountain. While the rest of the world was struggling to build wooden huts, the architects of 8th century India were performing an engineering miracle that we still cannot explain today. 400,000 tons of solid basalt rock were removed to create this temple. But there's a mystery that historians aren't telling you. If 400,000 tons of rock were excavated, where did the debris go? There are no rubble piles for miles. No records of where the stone was moved. It's as if the rock simply vanished. Today, we go deep into the Kailasa Temple. We're exploring the forbidden technology, the top-down construction nightmare, and the secret reason why 1,000 men couldn't destroy it. If you find these architectural mysteries as fascinating as we do, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. We're on a mission to uncover the truth about the world's most impossible ancient structures, and we release a new deep dive investigation every week. Join the community of explorers here at the Forgotten Past, and let's dive back into the missing 400,000 tons of stone. On every other construction site in history, from the pyramids of Giza to the Burj Khalifa, you start at the bottom. You lay a foundation and you build up. Kailasa is the opposite. It was carved from the top down. Imagine standing on a 100-foot-high mountain and striking the first chisel. You have no room for error. If you carve 1 inch too deep on a pillar, you can't go back and fix it. There are no extra stones to swap in. Modern engineers have calculated that even with modern three-dimensional modeling and giant laser cutters, a project like this would take decades. Yet historical records and local chronicles suggest this entire 100-foot-deep canyon was carved in roughly 18 years. That means the workers were removing 60 tons of rock every single day. That's 5 tons every hour, using nothing but hammers and chisels. Does that sound like primitive technology to you? Or were they using something we no longer understand? The method the builders used is described in old inscriptions as simple stonework and chisels, but the precision here is different. Perfect columns, symmetrical caves, and interior chambers with flawless geometry. The carved faces, the delicate floral patterns, the figures of gods. Each cut is crisp as if executed by a machine. Even more puzzling are the ventilation and service shafts. Narrow tunnels run deep into the rock, aligned in ways that suggest an advanced understanding of airflow and acoustics. These aren't random cracks. They are purpose-built passages, some barely wide enough for a man to crawl through, leading deep into the belly of the mountain. Imagine hundreds of workers chipping away at basalt, day after day, measure after measure, with a level of coordination that implies planning and architectural oversight more advanced than most of the recorded world at that time. Now, before we jump into the conspiracy theories, let's do the math, and the math gets stranger. Think about 400,000 tons of rock. If you put that much debris on modern trucks, you would need tens of thousands of loads to move it. The obvious historical answer is that the stone was carted away. But where? There are no distant walls or monuments in the surrounding valley built from the same stone. The villages nearby do not have massive secondary structures that would account for this volume. Some researchers argue the debris was used as fill material in faraway river works or even in ancient canals. Yet archaeological surveys show no matching deposits. The mystery deepens when you examine the interior surfaces. Smooth, almost polished cuts that display a uniformity inconsistent with random chipping and less skilled labor. A controversial idea among alternative historians is that the rock was somehow softened or chemically altered to be more easily removed, an ancient form of rock softening technology. Mainstream archaeologists dismiss this out of hand, calling it pseudoscience. But when you stand inside the inner sanctum and place your hand on those walls, you can't help but feel that the surfaces were worked with tools that created unnaturally regular curves and planes. There's also a political chapter, the emperor who tried to erase it. In the 17th century, a Mughal ruler sent 1,000 men to dismantle the Kailasa Temple. They worked for 3 years using hammers, fire, and every tool of the age. They ruined some outer sculptures, but the core of the temple barely flinched. This became an embarrassing historical record of just how resilient the monument really is. How could workers with 17th century iron tools and organized labor fail to demolish what earlier generations had created in far less time? Some scholars propose that the original builders used advanced surveying and mechanical advantages that we don't usually credit to ancient societies. The temple's workmanship supports this. The proportions echo mathematical ratios used repeatedly across the complex, and many carvings are so identical they seem made from templates. Inside the rock are hollowed chambers and slender, self-supporting columns. These follow precise load-bearing lines and reflect architectural calculation. The inner caves were intentionally carved while leaving structural elements intact, like a sculptor hollowing a block while preserving pillars precisely where they are needed. We find inscriptions naming craftsmen and timelines that place construction in the 8th century. This was long before cranes or industrial cement. To maintain quality over such a huge scale, they likely used a factory line system. Teams for roughing, refining, and finishing worked under master masons who inspected every inch. With shared templates and rigorous oversight, this precision was possible even with hand tools. Now imagine the logistics. Removing 400,000 tons of stone is a massive problem. Moving that much rock should leave hills of rubble or nearby monuments built from the same stone. Yet, surveys find no clear deposits of that scale. One testable idea is internal redistribution, carving in stages and compacting the waste into nearby terraces or local fills. Much of the debris could have been engineered into the landscape itself. The mystery of precision remains. Many patterns match to the millimeter, suggesting the use of wooden or metal guides. Survey tools like plumb lines and leveling rods would explain the perfect right angles found throughout. This points to a workforce that was systematically engineered, possessing social systems to organize labor across generations. So, where does that leave us? Kailasa is not simply a devotional monument. It's a technical achievement that forces us to rethink ancient engineering. The blend of mythology and architectural ingenuity suggests a culture capable of planning and logistics we often reserve for the modern age. If you enjoyed this exploration, check our videos on the pyramids and the sunken cities. The past is more capable than we often assume. Subscribe to The Forgotten Past. We'll keep following clues and exploring monuments that rewrite history.